This. All right, what is up, everybody? Joshua Smith here, and today is one of our monthly live mastery alumni coaching and Q&A calls. So as always, I'll stay as late as I need at the end to answer any questions that you guys have, any questions in depth. So toss those in here, and we will get jamming. So what I really wanted to discuss for today's session is, so today's the 26th, right? The day after Christmas, and over this next week or so, not that we're not busy doing our regular activities, but this is just such a great week. I know a lot of you have been business planning for a while, planning for your 2018s. This is just such a great time to really reflect and just see where we can improve and how we can grow and how we can go out there and dominate in 2018. And something that I'm working very, very in depth on personally. So inside not just my real estate team, my real estate business, but all my businesses, I started really 2018 planning about mid-October. But this time of year, what I like about this time of year is, naturally it's a little bit slower, right? People are a little bit busier with other things. My recruiter's a hell of a lot slower. My team manager's slower with meetings, appointments. Everything tends to be a little bit slower. Instead of using that as an excuse and reason to kick up my feet, I use this time to take advantage of to really go deep internally inside of our system. So like last week, I did a screenshot of it for you guys. Last week I spent 3 hours with Armando just breaking down and identifying, man, how can we get a little bit better in the ISA department? And we're revamping that, building that out. I'm really excited to share with you guys what we'll have built out. We're recreating a lot of our drips and just of a year of reflection of, as an example, like, hey, with all these automated text messages that we have going out, which ones to get the best responses, which and why, was it because we asked a question or whatever it may be? What is clogging up our efficiency? One thing that we realized, it wasn't so much of a problem until I created the ISA division, because for the ISA division, I didn't have any one person that was receiving 1,000 leads a month. Well, now that I got an ISA, receiving, let's say 1,200 leads in a monthly basis, well, having things like the call task drips included with the email and text drips, right? We're going to segment those and separate those and increasing our frequency and doing a lot of things. Again, we're going to share with you guys and show you what that looks like once they're all done and created, and I'll get you guys all dialed in. And those aren't something that's only for ISAs, right? Hopefully that'll be able to help you guys in your overall business as well. But this Friday, I'm doing the same thing for 4 hours with my general manager. And again, we're just revamping everything, right? And we've been, of course, talking about this stuff and planning on this stuff and goal setting and seeing where we need to improve. But we're just locking ourselves in our conference room with the whiteboard for 4 hours and breaking down every one of our processes, because for me, and I know I've shared this a lot with you guys, but it's not about some, monumental improvement. It's just little tiny tweaks. When I reflect on 2016 to 2017, my team growth is, we're talking 50%, right? We're talking 50% in gross volume sales, commissions, units sold, and we didn't do anything revolutionary. Right, our lead tactics didn't change. Really, our lead follow-up tactics didn't change. We didn't add a shit ton of agents to the team, that correlated to that production. I didn't add more staff. I didn't add more expenses. What changed is just getting a little bit better at each one of these components, right? Just really getting laser focused. If I can just get a little bit better, even if it's 1% better at each area of, let's say, the sales funnel, that makes massive, huge impacts inside of our businesses, right? We've all heard that saying that small hinges swing big doors. That saying is so ungodly true. And I've heard the saying a million times, and it's not something that I've dismissed, but 2017 really proved that for me. My business, outside of when I was brand new, right? When you're experiencing big growth leaps when you're brand new. But for the last 7 or 8 years, my business has never experienced the growth that we had from 2016 to 2017, right? And again, all we did was got laser focused on when I say laser focused, really developed an obsession with improving every element of our processes, right? And our processes didn't change, right? It was just making sure that those systems around those processes and the way that we inspect what we expect and things like that are what massively changed and grew our business by over 50% with that production. So today I want to walk through just some recommendations. Now, as we're winding up 2017, what are some things to reflect on? What are some things to maybe think differently about as we're going on 2018? And I'm going to share with you some personal stuff that I'm doing as well that might help you guys grow and expand as well. So first off, 2017 reflection. Right, it's so easy, and I've been here so many times in my life, you guys. I mean, more than I'd like to admit. But I'm, so excited about 2018. So excited to just go there on dominate. So excited for tomorrow that I don't spend enough time in yesterday. Meaning really reflecting deeply on it so I can learn from it and grow from it. So here's what I recommend. Number one, write down your actual numbers for 2017 and compare those to what your original goals were. Like, I know for me, I didn't hit any of my goals, right? Just being upfront honest, because I didn't hit one of my damn goals when it came to my business, in any of my businesses. Came close, right? But I didn't hit one of them. Am I stoked and excited about our growth? Am I, whatever? Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some wins in there. But on a high level, we didn't hit any of the numbers that we thought we would have. I mean, I literally thought we'd be able to hit 900 transactions on a real estate team, and we ended up hitting 655. That's way short. Now, that 900 was a massive stretch goal, going from 480 to 900. But I didn't hit those numbers, right? So when you're writing these down, like don't self-sabotage yourself or beat yourself up just because you didn't hit your goals. We want to learn from those, right? And I'm just being very transparent and honest with you guys. I did not hit one business goal, not a single damn one of them for any of my 8 current companies in 2017. Doesn't mean that the year was a waste. Doesn't mean that it was a bad year. We still had some great growth. But I'm able to reflect and learn on this stuff because I spend this time really reflecting on what went good and what went bad of this previous year. Then the second step, and I'm going to share this slide deck with you guys so you guys have this. So you don't have to worry about writing all this stuff down. Then from there, write down 3 things that went really well inside your real estate business and that you're proud of. Like, what were some things, like maybe you didn't hit your goals, but what were some things that went really well, right? That you did do well with that you're proud of. Then the third thing here, write down 3 things that didn't go so well, didn't go as well as they could have, and that you're really not proud of, right? Because again, we want to identify what went really good and what didn't go good. And then those things that didn't go good, is we'll see here as I'm going through this process, we then need to go deeper into our reflection. Same with the things that did go well, right? The things that did go well, I'm like, okay, well, how can I do more of these? Can I get better at these? Can I give this more of my time, energy, focus? How do I scale up on these? The things that didn't go well, right? Are they things that need to remain? Should I give them the cut or should they remain? Right? Or maybe it's something like, hey, my tracking didn't go well and it's something that I do need to improve. Well, I'm going to then reflect on, okay, how can I improve? All right. So then number 4, identify the top 3 things that need to improve that will have the largest impact on your 2018. Now, you might have a list of 50 things that you want to improve, but it's like, dude, what are the top 3? What are the biggest 3 things that you can go on and improve, that need your energy, that need your focus, that will have the biggest impact? So I said that saying earlier, small hinges swing big doors. What are those small hinge things that you can go do? I mean, most doors have 3 hinges. Like, if you were to identify 3 hinges that'd be swinging this big ass door, what are those 3 hinges? Like, what are the 3 things that if you improve on these, even improve slightly, will have the largest impact in 2018? So I really want to hone in and identify those, and I'll give those to you as we go in, and I'll share those with you with my team. Then step number 5, identify the top time hacks that you must eliminate in 2018 to get you where you want to go. And as we talked about in the time management session, I know it's been a long time for a lot of you in the original boot camp, when you first went through the boot camp, but time hacks are, again, things that eliminate or suck up your time that aren't getting you where you want to go, that aren't congruent with what you want to go out there and accomplish. We've got to identify these time hacks, right? Because we all have one thing in common, that we all have the same amount of time, right? The same amount of hours in a day, the same amount of hours in a week. We all are restricted by that same thing. So it's about how do we create more time by eliminating what's getting in the way, so then we can focus on the things that we need to truly focus on. Right? Like, did you allow yourself to get sucked into, bad TV programs, right? Whatever it may be, and again, don't beat yourself up on these things, right? It's just identifying, having this awareness of them. Now, you might be like, let's just use TV as an example, because that's such a huge time hack for so many people. Maybe you're like, well, dude, Josh, I don't want to give up TV, man. I enjoy it. Okay, cool. Just have a plan for it, have a path for it. I mean, I have an entertainment path, right? Like, I love movies and I allow myself to watch movies, right? But I have a path for that. I calendar that. I make sure that it's not something that's sucking up an immense a lot of my time, right? So I want to identify these time hacks, get crystal clear with these time hacks, and eliminate these as much as I possibly can to create room for the things that I need to be focused on. All right, so this is just going to help you guys as you're going through your 2017 deep reflection of, again, what needs to be removed, what can be improved, identifying the three top things that, if improved on the highest level, will go out there and create the biggest impact. Then when it comes to overall 2018 planning, of course, you got to complete your 2018 business plan. Hopefully you all have that in place. If you don't, I recommend to go through and re-reference inside Customer Hub, go to the Alumni tab, go to the live in-person mastermind events, and go to the most recent one that we did in October. Like, the first 2 hours or so, that's all I did, right? I just spent time on how to get clarity, completing your business plans, how to go out there and create effective vision boards. I know that stuff kind of sounds cuckoo, but they are effective. I'm telling you guys right now, when I'm rolling with and talking with and interviewing extremely successful, multi self-made millionaires, dude, I mean, almost all of them have a vision board in place, right? They all understand the importance of manifestation. And again, I know it sounds cuckoo. If you asked me 5 years ago, if you were like, dude, if you told me 5 years ago to do a vision board, I'd tell you to get the hell out of my office. I'm like, what is this, kindergarten? Like, get the hell out of my office, right? Then one day I hire a coach that forced me to do one, and I just started to see the power of it. All right, so we've got your business plan now in place. Then from there, create a becoming plan. And I know this might sound kind of funky, but as we know, and this is a famous quote from Jim Rohn, success is not a doing process. Success is a becoming process. Right? So when I'm talking about your becoming plan, like, in order to make your 2018 a reality, write out a paragraph on whom you must become to make your 2018 goals a reality. Right? And whatever that may look like. It doesn't have to be, it can have some vagueness to it, right? But maybe that's, hey, I must become more disciplined. I must become a better tracker. I must become more focused, whatever this may be, right? Just write out those things that you need to be working on. And along with my business plan, along with my vision board, and along with my becoming plan, I'm identifying those and looking at those daily, right? I want to know what I always need to be working on within my own self. And just like anything else, success doesn't happen overnight. Right? Like, I still have, when I have my becoming plan in place, right, with becoming more inspirational, becoming more focused, becoming more disciplined, becoming more self-motivating, becoming a better leader. Like, I'm not expecting, like, me to be perfect just because I'm reading this crap out loud within a few months, right? But when I'm reading it aloud every single day, it allows me, it forces me to focus on these things on a more consistent basis. I naturally start asking myself better questions, and over time, right, you just learn those abilities, you adopt those abilities, you become over time that person that you need to become to create the success that you want to go out there and create. Before I became let's just say a millionaire, because I'm not a billionaire yet, I was making good money, you guys. Like, I was out there selling a lot of real estate, making good money, but I was never able to become an actual millionaire because I didn't become the person I needed to become. Right? I didn't invest wisely. I didn't operate with my expenses wisely. I was playing the keeping up with the Joneses game. I was attaching to my ego instead of detaching from my ego. Like right now, and I'm having this internal battle right now, like we all go through at times, and I go through these as much as any human being does. There's a house that I want, right? And I want this house bad. It's a tricked out house. It's like 3.7 million. It's like a 12,000 square foot house. I want the house bad. And I qualify for the house. I could go buy the house, right? However, I've got to always have this internal conversation of, is that the right decision that's going to get me to where I need to become, right? And then when I start writing out and thinking about, okay, well, why do I really want this house? Is it really at a deep core level going to make me more fulfilled? Is it going to make me more money? Is it going to allow me to be more effective? And the reality is, not that my house that I'm in right now isn't good, right? Is a house that I bought in the bottom of the last market for $226,000 as a foreclosure. And and it's got everything I need in it, dude. It's 4,000 square feet, right? 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. I mean, it's enough room, right? I've got a home office in there. I'm able to do everything that I want to do. So and the reason I'm sharing this is when I break down why I really want that house, it's a straight up ego play, and that's okay, right? Like I own that, and I'm okay with that. But is that going to get me to where I really want to become, right? Especially with who knows where the future holds, but if these bull markets, they can only last so long, and I never ever watch the news. But yesterday was Christmas. I go to my dad's, and my dad's, a big Fox News junkie, and Neil Cavuto was on there. And they're talking about the S&P 500 and how the stock market's performing and what's going to happen in 2018. And, they have all these people on there talking about 2018 is going to be just an insane, amazing year, and how all these tax cuts that just took place are going to improve the stock market, improve the housing market, and all of these things, right? So I'm breaking that down, and I'm looking at this and just knowing historically, that all bull markets are preceded by usually a pretty big correction. Is it a wise thing for me, for my overall net worth, for whatever, to go out there and make this purchase right now? Or should I just write it out? Who knows how long I got to write it out for? But shit, can I be patient for another 5 years? And maybe after the market crashes, and we got a couple years of the market crash, and if the market bottom out, then go acquire that $3.7 million house for $1.5 million, or whatever that may be. Now, old Josh, I would have went out and bought that in a heartbeat. If I could afford it, I would have just stroked the check and say, screw it, I'll just work harder, make more money, whatever. But I've had to slowly become the person that I want to become, to go out there and create the success, the level of success of the person I really want to be, right? And going out there and creating that. It's like, if you guys remember in the time management portion of the boot camp, when I talk about breaking down your income, right? So your income per hour, and then breaking it down per minute, and then taking it a step further, and breaking down where you want to ultimately be, right? So if I want to get to the point, I mean, I know people that are making $36,000 an hour, right? That I know, that I have conversations with, that I've been blessed to have mentor me to a level. So if I want to get making that kind of money, I got to, when it comes to this becoming plan, right, I got to start asking myself, like, well, what are the decisions that they would be making? What are they doing? How are they operating? And I've got to become that person now. Right? If I want to go out there and, let's just say, that be a real estate agent, maybe you're making 60 grand a year and you want to be making $500,000 a year. You got to become that person first that's making, $500,000 before that $500,000 a year starts showing up in your life. Right? What is their daily routine? What is their daily ritual? How many dials are they doing every single day? It's like when I have agents, I just spent this last Friday a couple hours with a couple newer agents on my team that are just massively hungry. And these guys are doing their call sessions every day. I'm breaking down their numbers from them. And they're in that kind of shitty phase right now. Right? Where, I mean, they're when I say shitty phase, they're doing all the work, but they haven't seen the fruits of the work yet. Right? They're newer. They just got dialed in. They've just got trained. But they're in there averaging each 500 dials a day. right? So I'm just breaking this down of what this is going to do for them and where they're going, what this is going to become and mean for them. And they're sold on the vision, right? But they've got to become that person, whatever that income bracket is that they want to be making, with those daily routines, daily disciplines, and daily habits first, right? So we always want to not just have our business plan in place, but a personal becoming plan in place, right? Not just for a business, right? But maybe, hey, maybe I want to have epic health and epic shape. Well, I got to have a becoming plan for that. Maybe I got to get more discipline on getting my ass in the gym. Maybe I got to get more discipline on, eating more vegetables every single day, drinking X amount of water a day, right? Then number three, identify and get very clear on your strengths as well as where your results came from in 2017, in addition to previous years, right? And then ask yourself, once you've identified those, are you doing everything I can to maximize on that? What I see too often, a huge problem that I see way too often in this business, is too many real estate agents think they need to revamp everything. And I see it all the time in the alumni group too, where I'll get somebody that sits there and says, hey, I'm creating good success now, but my business is too buyer side heavy. So I want to scrap everything I'm doing and go to a listing focused business, right? And that's why I will always ask questions. If you see me in those, I will ask questions like, well, why is it important to you to have a seller-based business, right? And some common answer on that will be, I want to increase my capacity, right? I can only work with so many buyers at a time, and I can work with a lot more sellers than I can buyers at a time. All right, so I'm not arguing that that's not true, right? We all know that that is true, right? I can handle maybe 75 to 100 listings on my own, or maybe I can only handle 10 buyers, right? But instead of revamping everything, right? Maybe I just ask, because the ultimate goal here is to be able to scale your business and create more time for you, increase your capacity, right? And scale your business, right? Well, if you kill it on the buy side, why not focus on ways to scale up on the buy side, right? Like potentially hiring a full-time showing assistant, right? Where people come in, you do the buyer lead generation, you do you convert them, you do the buyer consultation at your office, you introduce them to your showing specialist who's going to be their chauffeur to show them any homes that they want while accommodating their schedule. Once they identify the home that they want, bring them back into the office and write a contract, right? And then you re-enter the contract phase, right? Or leveraging out your time and just hiring more buyer's agents. Now, I'm not sitting there saying to not go out there and think about ways to go out there and bring on more listings inside your business. Right. But I'm not going to let go of what's already working on a massive level, right? So identify and revamp things that work really good for you. And again, just thinking of ways to align what your strengths are, what you love doing. We had an alumni member recently, similar thing, that wanted to revamp their structure, but was like, dude, I fucking hate cold calls. I suck at it. I hate prospecting, right? But then he laid out all the things that he was his strengths, what he enjoys doing, what he's good at, as well as he identified what his numbers were and what his plan was, right? And I'm like, well, let's just do more of what's already working, dude. I can't remember his exact things on there, but I was like, let's just leverage more of what's already working for you, and again, I'm not going down, I don't want to go down this huge path of if buyers are better than sellers, right? But the lifetime value of a buyer is worth a hell of a lot more to my long-term business than a seller. As far as repeat referral business, if I ride that out long enough on a buyer-focused business, eventually those referrals are going to be pouring in that repeat business where they're going to all become sellers. And then again, can I leverage certain things? Like for example, he was doing really, really well with his just listed, just sold prospecting tactics. That was one thing that he enjoyed doing and did really well with. And I said, okay, well, you've got all these buyer side closings. He's like 60% buy heavy. I'm like, why not incorporate your just sold tactics to your buy side of the business, not just your listings? Your 50% of that sale, you can absolutely do just sold circle prospecting and just sold marketing tactics to anything that you represent the buyer on. Right? So that created, I think it was something like 26 more just sold opportunities to go out there and get more business on, and then this gentleman also is starting a team. I'm like, why don't you mandate it like I did with my team early on, where all the listings went to me? right? And I paid my agents a 30% referral fee. My agents loved it, right? They got a 30% referral fee. Instead of a 50-50 split, they got a 30% referral fee to not do anything. Right? I'd go on the listing appointment, I would obtain it, whatever. So I'm getting my own efforts. Plus now I have all my buyer's agents feeding me more listings. And so again, I'm not saying to not add a new silo of business or a new tactic, right? But we always want to identify, hey, what is working good? What are strengths? What do we enjoy doing? And what is working really good inside of our business? And then how do we capitalize on this and do more of this thing to go out there and grow more? Because I'm here to tell you, dude, especially with today's day and age and technology, there are so many ways to go out there and increase your capacity, right? Listings being the name of the game, dude, is such a BS statement anymore. It used to be that there was a lot of truth to that statement, right? Because we needed listings. I mean, sign calls were great. Now, at least in my business, sign calls are pretty much just from the uneducated consumer, right? If they're educated, typically in most cases, right, if they're educated, they're going to go onto Siri on their phone and pop that in. So our sign calls are really like, I don't even care about sign calls today, right? I just treat them as icing on the cake. They're no part of that. Well, I used to need them for open houses. I used to need them for generating online leads. Well, now I can go out there and do that so easily without having any listing. Listings usually are more time consuming to obtain, right? Cost more to go out there and market, whatever. And then, of course, we have all the commission objections with all the discounters, which we don't typically have on the buy side. My rookie of the year this year, she's only been on my team for 6 months. First 6 months, brand new agent, 17 closings. I'm having a conversation with her and she's like, dude, I hate listings, right? She's like, buyers are so easy to just go out there and of course, this lady being on my team, dude, she is, if I say that she has watched and role played the buyer presentation 100 times, that's probably a vast understatement. I mean, she has this as dialed in as any human being I've ever seen. She is so dialed in with it, right? And she's showing on average, it's 5 homes that she shows on average, writes a contract, boom, on to the next. I mean, she's got this down to be so efficient, right? But then when those other capacities come, there's other ways to go out there and overcome those capacities. And again, when I talk about your strengths as well as your weaknesses, maybe you're like, hey, I do want to increase the list side of my business, or my lead conversion ratio, whatever. But I hate doing the calls. I hate doing the dials, right? Well, if I do more of what I'm already getting results with that align with my strengths already, and I'm able to go out there and leverage that and close more business, I can very quickly hire somebody that's good at the calls, that loves doing the calls, and I never have to do them again for the rest of my life. Right? That's why this ISA model is becoming, has been popular, but is becoming so ungodly popular, right? And the cool thing on the ISA end is they only get paid on what they procure, right? So everything that you're already doing, just keep going with that and rolling with that. And then, over time, take on an ISA that can align with the things you hate doing and allow you to increase your capacity that much more. So sorry to go so deep on that, but I see so many agents stifle their business, because they think they got to pull this 180, and that's just not the case, man. Always do more of what works, cut out what isn't working, do more of what works, right? Master what's working, revamp what's working. When I break it down to, these 655, closings that we closed year to date in 2017, now, I have some agents on my team that, of course, hit and expired, circle prospecting, whatever, but 90% of that business, if we're looking at new business, came from open houses and Facebook. Like, I'm only focused on 2 things. And if I were starting over today, if you put me in a new city, I'd be just doing 2 things, open houses and Facebook leads. That's all I'd be doing, right? And I just take it to the extreme, master it, and be at my, wait till I got to a full capacity. Then when I'm at a full capacity, right, I'm not going to revamp what's working. I'm going to look to see how I can delegate these things out, so I can keep doing more of what's already working. All right, number 4, identify the top 3 things, again, that you can improve on. This comes back from our reflection that we're on the last slide. The top 3 things that you can improve on, do more of, get better at, that will have the single biggest impact inside your business. All right, so when I look at Revisto, right, one of our biggest downfalls that we had, and that also is going to hinder, unfortunately, my growth in 2018, is the recruiting, right? I had a kick-ass recruiter in place. He relocated, and since then, we just haven't been able, to get the traction that we need on recruiting. So I unfortunately had to part ways with my last recruiter, hired somebody new. But dude, I know right now, we have to that's my number one main focus, right? Not that these other two things aren't important, but recruiting and getting our recruiting dialed in, um, that is of highest priority to me. We've got to get that dialed in, whatever it takes, whatever that looks like. We've got to get that dialed in. Number two, our initial training and onboarding, right? So when I'm talking about our initial training and onboarding, right, this is when a new agent joins our team. Again, you guys, I'm not talking about even changing what our training is. It's not changing the content. It's not changing the material. I mean, the listing presentation, the buyer presentation is the buyer presentation. How we follow up with leads is how we follow up with leads. It's not even about that, right? It's again about improving our systems on our end to get our agents that join to soak in that data, to implement that data, and get that stuff dialed in on there and that much quicker. Right? So, I mean, we're just revamping and tweaking. We over the last 6 months, we went there and revisited a lot of, top teams throughout the country and what their initial onboarding looks like. So in 2000 and really up until very recently, our initial agent training onboarding was like, okay, you watch these 2 weeks worth of videos. Once these are done, which is everything that they need to know, but once these are done, then we come in and we have kind of our new agent in-person training that was very minimal. Right, that was just more to make sure that they went through the training, didn't bullshit their way through it, and then we kind of put them on their own. Right, where we're not going to change the initial onboarding training, but what we realize, this is so much information, and for me, I love new agents fresh out of school. So a lot of these new agents fresh out of school, it's the first time they're ever hearing this information. They just got done being on overload from, getting their license, all of that. So we're going to mirror it with our online training and our live in-person training. So they're going to watch all the online training, and then when they come in, right, that the live onboarding training is going to be also a full week long, right? So we're going to go through everything that they just learned on the online training, but now we're doing it in person. Right. And success is in repetition, right? So they need to watch this stuff over and over and over. But not only are they watching it live, now we're increasing the role playing on a massive level, right? So, okay, guys, now we're going to go through in the initial training, you watched the buyer presentations. Now we're going to go through it live. My team manager will do it live, right? Then now we're going to partner them up and they're all going to go through it and role play it, 3 times each. And just keeping them going through that with every element of it, to really make sure they internalize on it, grasp it, have it down, and really just selling the importance of this stuff, right? Number 3 is accountability. One thing that we did, which again is something that I talked to you guys a lot about, is our accountability meetings, right? We got really hardcore this past year at doing them, and we've just seen the power in them. Those of our agents that attend our accountability meetings on a consistent basis, their production is on average double those that don't. Right, so the accountability meetings are weekly meetings where it's nothing revolutionary. Everybody stands up and gives their 3 commitments that they're committed to creating for the next week. Right? Then each week they come in. Okay, Joe, what were your 3 commitments for last week? So they publicly declare them, and then we're just my team managers just facilitating the experience, right? So then she'll just ask them, okay, well, did you accomplish your commitments, right? So a commitment is how much by when. So did you accomplish your commitments? And if they didn't, right, well, we go through just like you guys have seen a million times. Through the weekly commitments and stuff that were posted in the boot camp and the accountability partner program in the boot camp. But it's just, again, that self-discovery process. We're not coaching them yet. But it's, okay, well, what do you feel that got in the way? In the realm of all that's possible, do you feel you could have hit your commitments? What do you feel you need to do differently to make sure that your commitments happen? Then we ask them, what can we do as a group to support you with your commitments? All right. So then on all that, and then after the group involvement, we ask them to set their next commitments for the next week, publicly declare those commitments. Then from there, everybody has to share one thing publicly that's working really well, that they want to share with the group, so the rest of the group can learn from them, right? Because we want to keep this culture of sharing. And then we ask them to just publicly state one current struggle that we can, as a group, help them with at that time. right? And then we just go through the whole entire room. So there's no training, there's no, right? It's just everybody shows up in one central place every single week and do those. And we've just seen the massive, massive importance of those, right? So when I say accountability, again, it's not even doing anything different than we're already doing. Now we're just driving them in there on a deeper level. So when they first join our team, their first 90 days, it's mandatory that they're in accountability meetings, right? So they've got to be there every single week for their first 90 days. Then after that, if they're not continually showing up, right, every single week, they're getting a call from my manager. What's going on? How come you're not showing up to accountability meetings? How can we support you? How can we help you? And just remind them to get them in there. I mean, those are our three focuses. Like everything else, we're like, shit, not that we can't improve on everything else. Like I talked about earlier, we're trying to improve and make tweaks on, little things like our follow-up protocols and things like that. But we just found out, dude, these three things, if we get these three things dialed in, these are the three things that have the biggest massive impact on our business, and truly at the end of the day, transform our business. So now I know a lot of you aren't team leaders or broker owners, so it may not be things like this, but maybe for you it's consistent, a consistent prospecting and or lead generation strategy, right? Your consistent time blocking with your follow-up protocol and consistent tracking. You just dial in those three things. Like, what does that do again for your business? So identify what those three things are. All right, so then just some overall business principles, and these are just reminders that you've heard me talk about 1,000 times. But so when I talk about principles are just like rules that we have to just abide by to go out there and create the result that we want to create, right? And principles can apply to anything in life. But if we talk about our real estate businesses here, these are just really the fundamentals, the principles that everybody has to adopt if you want to go out there and create a successful business. And I don't care who it is, what part of the world they're in, whatever, every top producer has these things just dialed in, right? So the first element to that is your processes in place. So remember, processes are just your step-by-step action steps to get the result that you want. So we're identifying our processes. Then our systems around those processes, right? So the systems just ensure that these processes are not missed, can be duplicated, and can go out there and scale, right? So like I was telling you guys earlier, my rookie of the year this year, that won that only 6 months licensed in the business, and 17 closings in 6 months, right? She was, I mean, don't get me wrong, she works her ass off, dude. However, she wouldn't have that level of success if she wasn't able to plug into our system, and then she just follows the processes in the system. She doesn't have to think about it. She's not second guessing it, right? She's just mastering the process we have in place, which exponentially explode her growth that she has, right? So your processes and systems, that becomes your playbook, right? That becomes your operations manual, which is really what the boot camp is all about. I mean, the boot camp, when I'm teaching the boot camp, maybe it's been a long time since you've been on the boot camp, go through the latest boot camp in the alumni tab. That is my playbook. All I'm doing in the boot camp is just teaching what my playbook is. I'm not saying that mine's the best and greatest on the planet. There's many agents that are way more successful than I am, right? It's just what's worked for me, what continues to work for me, and I'm walking you guys through our playbook. All right, so then from there, the third component is tracking. You have to track your numbers. You got to know your numbers. I was having a conversation on Friday with those same gentlemen I was telling you guys about, and they were asking me, they're like, dude, you talk about when you first started in this business, working 4 a.m. to noon and grind out these days. And one of the dudes like, look, dude, I'm recently married and they're planning on starting a young family. He's like, dude, I don't care to grind 100 hours a week, and I'm like, dude, you don't have to, bro. I'm like, dude, as hypocritical as this sounds, because I slam tracking so hard. I'm like, I didn't track until I was about almost, I was 5.5, 6 years in the business. Right? Even though every mentor, every coach, everybody else is paying a ton of money to like track your numbers, track your numbers, track your numbers. I'm like, I didn't track. My business plan was just to outwork everybody. And I did that. And it worked okay for so long. I was selling hundreds of homes a year, right? However, I was miserable. I had no quality of life, right? And the vast majority of that wasn't necessary. So like I showed him and told him, I'm like, dude, you can absolutely duplicate what I did in 40 or 50 hours a week and not work 80 or 100 hours a week. If you're tracking, right? He's got the right sit, obviously he's plugged in the team. So like I told him, I'm like, I had to create all this shit. I'm like, you just got to get plugged into it. I didn't have the assistance and things that he had. But I just honed in on that tracking with him to making sure that he's focused on the right things. We've got to dial in our tracking. Knowing your numbers intimately is the only way you can ever make smart strategic business decisions. You got to know what that looks like, right? And then as you expand and scale and grow, tracking your agent's numbers, your overall company as a whole numbers, but then your agent numbers. Like I need to know, hey, let's just say for an example, I have an agent that needs help on my team. And maybe they're at a 58% appointment set to show up ratio. Well, I know they should be at a 75% or more, right? So I can identify what that bottleneck is, right? Or maybe their appointment conduction to client ratio is below what it is, or their client to closing ratio. When I know these numbers and know what they should be, right, I quickly identifies where I can coach them. Right? It lets me know where I need help in my own business and where I can coach them. And this is where so many real estate agents go wrong when they're like trying to hire a coach. Oh, I know I need coaching, but they don't understand or really know where the problem is to hire the right coach. Right? Like you got to know the right coach. I told you guys recently, I hired Frank Driscoll to come on and be our phone coach in my ISA department. Right? I'm like, look, dude, and I'm not talking about revolutionary, insane numbers here. I'm like, dude, if I can just get my guys, because where I realized our issue was in our ISA department, our long-term nurture is good. Yeah, right. Like our numbers are good long-term nurture. Where we struggle is the initial calls, right? That initial report and those initial appointment set ratios that we have. Now, we good? Yeah, but we're not great. And I'm like bringing on Frank, man, if we can just with that initial phone call, that initial conversation, that initial report, if Frank can get us to be 0.5% better, right? The ROI on that investment is massive, right? So, but I identified the exact issue I wanted to improve on. It wasn't just, oh, I need help. Let me go out there and get help. That is a losing strategy to go out there and get a coach, right? And it's not that the coach is bad. The coach just has no idea how to coach us. And we have no idea if we're finding the right coach. And I used to blame all these coaches and say there's so many shitty coaches out there. And I just realized I was shitty at identifying where I truly needed support and help in my own business. So it wasn't their fault. It was my fault. I didn't know how to go and tell them where the true issue was or how to identify the right person, right? So if you look at coaches in my world, I've got 3 main coaches, right? That I'm talking that I coach with like on a one-on-one basis, right? Not products and things like that, right? So I just told you about Frank Driscoll, which is coaching my ISA department to improve and get that dialed in, right? I got John Cheplack, right? John Cheplack is the greatest recruiting coach in the industry. We need to improve our recruiting massively. So I've got him laser focused on the recruiting coach, right? Then I've got my personal coach, my peak performance coach, Camille, who a lot of you met at the alumni group, and she coaches me on my personal blocks, right? And things that I personally need to allow me to scale up inside my business. So tracking becomes so massive for so many reasons. Make sure that you are tracking, doing this consistently. I mean, the reality is we cannot be truly committed to our business unless we're committed to tracking our numbers on a daily basis, right? So then we got all these 3 things dialed in. Of course, that leads to profit. The more profit that we make, the more growth we're going to experience. And eventually that will lead to people, right? That will lead us to allowing to hire talented, great people inside of our business, right? And this is where your life really begins to change, dude. That's where you really have a business. That's where you're able to get your life back, do things that you want to do, right? Like I'm able to step out of my real estate business. I don't really do crap in my real estate business, right? I mean, from afar, I'm always looking and designing the systems and processes, right? I mean, but on the day-to-day operations, dude, I don't do anything. I can't tell you one address that's closed inside of our business, right? I'm not dealing with buyers. I'm not dealing with sellers. I'm not even dealing with our agents, right? All I'm doing, right, is of course making sure that we're tracking, and making sure our profits are there. But I'm just trying to constantly improve our systems and processes, then making sure that we have the right people in place. And that allows you to have a true business, right? Where then your business goes out there and grows, like I showed with you guys earlier. And this isn't a bragging thing. This is just showing you what these things do. My business grew 50% in 2017, and I've never worked less in my life when it came to my real estate business, right? Now, unfortunately, I just got to, quit being such a freak with these other businesses and slow down just so I can enjoy life a little bit. But it gives me that freedom to choose what I want to do with other ventures, right? So then people allow you then to have a truly a successful business, which then gives back to you. But the only way people come into place is, again, I got to have processes. I got to have systems. People can never show me their greatness unless they have proven systems and processes to follow. I got to be tracking, and obviously I got to be making money and making enough profit to bring them on, right? And a drive for you guys, and I know I've shared this with you a lot, but like, I hate doing phone calls. I hate as much as any human being on this planet. Dude, I don't like answering my phone. I don't like talking on my phone. I don't like checking text messages. I don't like there's not one aspect of a phone that, whoops, sorry. I had a pop-up that came up. I'm trying to ignore all this stuff. There's not one aspect of the phone that I enjoy, right? So what did I do? I allowed myself, right, to get focused to the point where I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this at such a high level, do it so well that I can become profitable enough where then I can hire somebody so I never have to do it again. I haven't had to do a phone call or a sales call in over 4 years, and I never plan on having to do it again, right? If my business got annihilated and had to start from scratch, I'll do whatever it takes, but, I'll jump back in if I have to, but I don't plan on ever doing it again, right? Like a lot of this stuff, dude, dude, I was talking again with those two gentlemen I was telling you guys about on Friday, and I'm like, dude, I love real estate, right? I'm as obsessed with any human being about the real estate industry. And it is not because I love carting buyers around in my car. It is not because I love sitting across the listing table from a seller telling me and argue with me that their house is worth $25,000. Then, every single comp on God's green earth is showing them that their home is worth, right? It has nothing to do with any of those things. Not that I, didn't necessarily mind doing some of those things. But there's a lot about the day-to-day practical stuff that takes place in real estate that I didn't enjoy. I didn't like. What I love about this business more than any other business I've ever seen is the opportunity it creates, right? The opportunity it creates that is just as far as the business and the income you can go out there and create for yourself and for your family, as well as the opportunity for the person like we talked about that you need to become. Right? Inside this business, you get so much exposure to great mentors and surround yourself with great people that I haven't really seen in other businesses, right? So that's what I love about this business is those opportunities. They're absolutely endless that exist out there. All right. So again, we've got the sales funnel. You guys know the game. We know what the sales funnel is. We got to be paying attention to this sales funnel on a daily basis, right? Of course, it starts with activities. Activities exist to generate a lead. Lead exists for me to make an appointment. Appointment made exists for me to conduct the appointment. Appointment conduction exists for me to generate a client. Clients exist for me to put them under contract. That exists to spell a commission check. This doesn't stop here. Comes up, becomes our number one lead source, right? So I've got to have my proven processes, right? A process is a step-by-step action to get the result that we want. So on this sales funnel, I know with my activities, these exist, right? I need to do step-by-step actions and steps to generate a lead, to move them here. So I'm going to identify my proven processes that keep leading human beings through the sales funnel. Then I'm going to build out systems around these processes. Systems are no different than a checklist, right? Manuals, checklists, whatever that may be, to ensure that those things are happening and are not missed. Of course, this is each element that I have to track. Then eventually, as we talk about hiring and all that stuff in the boot camp and the alumni, like as I always do, this is also how I hire, right? I'm not just like, I need some help, so I'm going to hire somebody. No, I need some help. Based on looking at the sales funnel, I'm going to identify where am I falling short, right? Like where's the hole in my ship? And then I'm going to find the person to plug that hole, right? Human beings are hole pluggers that allow me to increase my capacity inside my business. Now, of course, they're human beings, and that's we treat them as such, and we do everything we can to build a great culture and create a great environment for people to thrive on. But if I'm looking at this strictly as a CEO, a human being, just like a piece of technology or anything else that I invest in my whole entire business, right? Anything that I invest in my business exists, right? To solve a problem so I can continue growing inside my business. That's it, right? Doesn't matter if it's a human being, a system, piece of technology, whatever, that exists to solve a problem so I can expand, right? If we look at it from a CEO level at the highest possible level, that is it. And including the CEO, right? The CEO exists in the company that's appointed by the board of directors to do exactly that as well. So we've got to have this dialed in and paying attention to this every single day, right? Like I talked about our growth in 2017, this is just what my team leader, my team manager, and I just became obsessed with, just looking at this every day. Right? How do we improve? How do we get a little bit better? How do we get a little bit better at getting our teammates to grasp this? How do we get our process and systems internally a little bit better for each one of these? And I'm talking like on the most minute things, like you guys have seen in the alumni tab. I'm inside Customer Hub alumni tab, week number 9. I have little things in there for you guys, like our template emails for support staff. Right? So instead of having our support staff have to think about, oh, this contract just got opened up. Oh, I got to email all parties involved with a welcome message explaining who I am. No, right? Anything done more than once needs a system. So we came up with templated emails that our TCs just copy and paste. Right? If this is a buyer transaction, seller transaction, right? Inspector emails, lender emails, we templated all those out. So now it's just a copy and paste, right? The little things like that massively increase our capacity. It's all those little things that add up, right? It's not the revolutionary huge lead gen thing that you're going to do or some insane massive script that you're going to do, right? At the end of the day, all that shit is irrelevant. I'm not going to say it's not relevant, but it's not going to be one script that changes your life, or one new lead gen thing that changes your life, or one piece of technology that changes your life. Right? It's all these little things. When we look at the game, we look at how we're playing the game, it's improving on all of these little things that make that massive difference, right? And that becomes the fun of it, right? At least for me, I guess I might be a freak because I enjoy building out systems and processes, but I love it, dude. It's like, man, I never have a day where I don't have things not to do, right? All right, so keep things as simplistic as possible. Simple doesn't mean easy, but the more simplistic things you can keep things, man, the more successful you're going to become. All right, so like my personal most important focuses of 2018. So I've identified my business focuses, then on a personal level, like how do I got to work on Joshua Smith? Number one, my health, right? So, I've always taken pretty good care of my health. Right? And when I say pretty good care, it's been good enough, right? My blood levels always look good. I got good energy. But the older I get, the more importance I am seeing when it comes to my health, right? So when I'm talking like leveling up in my focus with my health, because it just impacts every aspect of my life, right? From my work to my kids to my wife, every aspect. I mean, I'm to the point now where I've got a personal health coach. I've got to turn in every single day my daily diet, my daily workouts, like my supplementation routine, right? I mean, it's to a level that it's never been in the past. It sounds kind of funky, but if you were to break down what my regimen looks like right now, it's like that of a professional athlete. And I'm not trying to be a professional athlete, right? But I want to operate like a professional athlete's able to operate on the field or whatever is the best version of themselves. I want to be able to show up in everyday life with that, right? So I've just realized okay, yesterday, right? Christmas Day, I took a cheat day. Right? Very rarely do I take cheat days, but I felt like shit, man, all day, all night. Even when I woke up this morning, my brain was foggy. I didn't like it. It's to the point now where even little things like that, like I got to be so insanely hyper aware and focused. So my number one focus is my health, right? Not for aesthetic reasons, but just for operational reasons to go out there and kick ass. Number two, my daily planning and reflection, right? Last year, this was my number one. Now this year it's my number two, right? I've got to make sure that every day, if I break down 2017, I hit this daily about 85% of the time, right? I'm not perfect. I talk about doing this stuff every single day and how you guys need to do this every single day. I miss days too, right? But my 2018, I'm like, nope, man, I've already reflected to eliminate, like again, having that hyper awareness of the days I'm not hitting it, what's getting in the way. Right. And a lot of times it's how we, went out late with some friends, had, a get together or whatever. And I'm just like eliminating all these things that got in the way of it. Not saying that I got to eliminate all my friends and never go out again, right. But I got to have a path. Right. So let's just say I don't go out a lot and I don't have much of a social life, but the few times a year that stuff comes up, I'm not going to postpone my daily reflection and daily planning till after the fact or the next morning. I'm going to make sure I do it before I go out That way I have that in place. So just identifying those things, because I want to be my 2018, man, I want 365 days of planning and reflection, right? Because again, I just know the massive importance on that daily planning and reflection. Number three, only say yes to things that will have the largest overall impact, right? Now, this isn't where everybody is at, but as you create more success and you get to higher success levels, and this has been a very difficult lesson for me. You get to a level where it's not about just saying no to the things not getting you results, but eventually you have to say no to the things that are getting you results, right? So then you got to know, you must know, like you have to know what is getting you the best results, and eventually only say yes to those things. Yeah, like right now I'm talking with my attorney, and I'm not going to say what is what or whatever, just because we're I don't know if it's possible or the ins and outs of all this stuff and my legal implications yet. But I'm even considering right now walking away from a business of mine that's going good. Right. We're not losing money. We're going good. We're experiencing growth. But it takes a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, and it's not near the future growth capabilities. It isn't as good as some of my other businesses. Right. It's prohibiting me in other aspects of my life. So even though it's a decently successful business and we're experiencing growth, like I'm contemplating walking away and washing my hands from it completely, because it's just not the best use of my time, right? So a real estate example of this, and we'll just use Realtor.com and Zillow. Maybe you're advertising on both of those, and you discover that, hey, Realtor.com is getting me a 700% return on my investment. Zillow is getting me a 300%. Right? They're both getting you a decent return on your investment, but maybe you're so damn busy at a capacity where it's like, dude, look, I got to say no to the 300% and go chips all in on the 700%, right? So you do get there. So like I said that, but so saying yes to the only things that will have the largest overall impact. Number one, I got to get very clear on what I want, what matters most to me. And I got to get very disciplined on a hardcore level with my daily planning and my daily reflection to make sure that I'm making those right decisions. So my 2018 master schedule is an example, right? So I just purchased this and I'm digging it so far. It's the Panda Planner Pro on Amazon. So there's two of them. There's the regular Panda Planner, which sucks. It's a watered down version, but the Panda Planner Pro, I'm digging. Here's a picture of it. But it's got three sections to it. You've got your yearly calendar, month by month. Then you have your weekly planning, where it forces you each week to plan out like the perfect week, and then you reflect on that and create all your top priorities and all of that. Then it's got your daily planning, is also with a reflection guide with that. So I'm trying this out. So of course, still incorporate the GSD mode. Planners, just because that's more specific into the daily dials and whatever. You can figure out how to integrate these two. But I wanted something with all in one centralized place, and I've been going out there and just buying a bunch of planners because I want to also go out there and eventually create like the GSD mode planner and have one available out there. And this one, out of all of them I tried and tested, like this has been my favorite one. So in there though, I've already got my entire 2018 calendar completely planned out. Right? I mean, everything is chalked out on 2018 already, right? So I've identified what my main focuses are. Like my personal focus is growing the boot camp and the alumni. In 2017, I took a big break from it. Not that we still weren't doing consistent boot camps and, whatever, but I started 3 new companies in 2017. I gave so much time, energy, and focus to those. Now, do I regret it? No. But I'm feeling the pain now, if you will. Not the pain, but the lack of growth with the boot camp, the alumni, all of those things. Plus, I know that my focus on the boot camp, the alumni, is what's going to have the biggest future all over impact on me compared to some of these other things, right? So when it comes to this, so I've identified not only is my entire calendar done, right, and in there, like I've got. I've taken 2 vacations this year. One's a family reunion we have to do in July. The other one, I'm taking my wife and kids to Maui for spring break. So I've already got those identified. I've got one speaking event that I'm doing in February. I've got that blocked off, things like the in-person alumni events. I've got everything completely blocked off, work and personal, for all of 2018. So I've got that planned in place. And again, I've gotten very clear on what's out of all my businesses or my main focus is like, again, what's that one thing I want to focus on? All right. So, main things I personally learned in 2017. So, as I reflect and trying to grow for myself personally, and this may or may not help you, but I just figured I'd just use some of my own personal examples. I know I'm not actively personally working with buyers and sellers anymore and whatever, but I just want to show as an overall high level things that I've learned thus far, my reflection of 2017. First, there's an abundance of great ideas out there. So I must have a system in place of what to say yes to and what to say no to. Right. So, the more success you create, man, you're pitched constantly good ideas. Right. So I had to get clear, and I'm going to show you guys this in the next slide of what I really want. What matters most to me, kind of what my personal vision statement is. And not to say that I don't take on businesses that maybe are not fully congruent with that. But in a way, they have to be congruent. And here's an example. I've got a business that it's not a live business yet, but it's a business that we're working on. That we've got it in stage now with the attorney drafting all the operations agreements. We've got our web developer working on it. It was pitched to me by a couple other guys that wanted to bring me in as a partner. Now, this business, it would pull away from my number one focus if I had to focus my time and energy on it. Right? I like the idea. I think that there's a lot of upside to it, but I can delegate it fully to my team. Right? So now I can sit there and be like, okay, here's the overall strategy. Now I have the team in place to go out there and run with it. So it's not taking away from or diluting my personal focus and time. So hopefully that makes sense. The second point here, the higher level of success I achieve, the higher level of self-care I must adopt. Right? This comes from, like I said, my nutrition, my workouts, my sleep. All of these things are better than ever before. Right. And then, I get obsessed with this stuff and I become a freak with this stuff. But like with my sleep, right. Well, how can I improve my sleep? I'm experimenting with things right now, like actual sleepwear. Right? There's infrared kind of biomechanical sleepwear that helps you heal better as you sleep and different things like that. Like, how can I, if I'm going to do this, either there are certain supplements I can take, not like sleeping pills, but certain, healthy, natural supplements, if you will, that can help me improve my recovery while I'm sleeping, or same thing with my workouts, right? So again, I got to take care of my mind and my body at the very, at a much, much higher level, the more success I go out there and achieve. It's one thing when I was doing things that I was able to just grind through. All right. Like let's just say a listing presentation. I got to the point where I've done so many of them that I could recite that stuff in my sleep. I could be a zombie and fake it and still pull through and have big level of success, right? Well, no longer, I can't do that anymore. Right. So, with the amount of employees that we have and, the overall big level, high level strategy, like I need that brain power. Right. So you guys talked to me about so many years, hack and sleep, not sleeping, right. And was it necessary? No. If I would have tracked and known my numbers better, and I could have taken better care of myself doing this, but now I can't operate in that way, right. All right. So then become hyper aware of my personal energy. This is one thing that my personal peak performance coach, Camille, has helped me out tremendously with, right? So being, again, extremely aware of my personal energy. So, one of my main goals, is to, become the most inspirational human being that I possibly can become. Right. So when you look at inspiration, right, inspiration is about your own internal energy systems, right. So the only way that you're going to transfer that inspiration is to become very tuned into your energy. And again, I know this sounds kind of woo woo, but let me just explain this, right. So I had to get this hyper level of awareness from the people that I'm around. Just ask myself, how do I feel around this person? Right? Is this person making me feel inspired? Do I feel energized, or is this person draining me? Do I feel negative around this person? Do I feel positive around this person? Just getting very, very, again, hyper aware. I don't know a better term than that of my own energy systems. Right? And then again, asking myself, like, if I'm around this person, well, why is it? Why is this person draining my energy? Right? Like, I'm an introverted person. So being around my wife and my kids, like Christmas Day yesterday, dude, I was energetically freaking drained. Right. By the end of the night, like, I was miserable. Right. And I'm putting on a smile. I'm trying, and that sounds bad. I get that. Right. However, like, I need a certain amount of solitude. So I just got to understand that. I got to know that. I got to know how I operate. Now, I'm not going to cut out my wife and my kids out of my life. No, they're amazing people, right? I want to be around them and surround myself with them, but I got to know what that balance is. Like, how much alone time do I need? Do I need to put together a routine where I can have that solitude time, right? And then, go spend that time with my wife and my kids and whatever. So, like, kind of midway through the day, as the kids were all playing with their toys, I'm like, dude, like, I just knew I could feel my energy systems getting drained. So I just snuck away for 2 hours, and stuffed my face into a book, and got some good self-development and got that recharged. And then we went out there, had a nice Christmas dinner, whatever it may be. My environment, so again, having that hyper awareness of my environment, right? So my personal office, that's in my studio, or my real estate office, right? Like, how does it make me feel when I'm in here? Is this an environment that I'm energized? Do I enjoy being here? If not, how can I enjoy being there? Like, what kind of music do I want to listen to when I'm in my office? What type of posters do I want in my office? What type of, whatever do I want in there? Whether it's a specific desk or a chair or whatever. Again, I want to set up my environment, so I'm maximizing my energy. When I enter that room, I want it to be uplifting. I want it to feel good. Same thing with my home. Right? Like, this last year, I did some remodeling around my house just to, I put in a new home office and did some different things and revamped some things, right? Just so I felt better and more energetic while I was at home, right? And this applies to different activities that I'm doing, or the activities that I'm doing that are draining my energy, or activities that I'm doing where are more of my flow, and that are bringing me massive amounts of great energy. So becoming extremely aware of these things that affect my energy. Like, one thing is an example, and I'm working right now with one of my employees that's going to take this over. But, like, social media massively drains my energy. And I don't know why, right? You think being an introverted person, like, social media would be your dream, right? Because it allows you to communicate and engage with people, with hiding behind a computer. However, dude, I find it as draining as I do a networking event. Right? So I hate posting. I almost never post anymore. My postings become, almost non-existent. Right now, this is different from, the groups and different things with you guys. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about, if you go to Joshua Smith's Facebook page or LinkedIn page or Instagram page, just posting things in there and being engaged in there. But I also understand the importance of it, right? However, I don't want to align myself with doing things that drain my energy anymore. Now, there's times where I have to, right? But now I'm in a time in my life and my business where I can delegate this stuff out, right? So we're coming up with strategies and that can be effective for her to go out there and do that and pose as me and post all this stuff and what all this looks like. So I can accomplish the result I want to accomplish without me draining my energy, right? I want to be at optimal energy levels as much as I possibly can. So having that hyper awareness of that, and this, also obviously ties in food, nutrition, all of that. Then from there, I've learned to become extremely patient. And this has been a huge learning lesson from me, because just like most of us, we're massively impatient, right? So I've learned to become extremely patient on a macro level and become extremely impatient on a micro level, right? So what does that mean? What that means is I'm not really concerned what's going to happen over the next 12 months. Right? Now, does that mean I'm not setting 12-month goals or have a 5-year vision? Sure. Right? I have all those things dialed in, but I'm not concerned with them. I don't let it even enter my thought process. Right. So that would be at a macro level, 12-month goals, 3 years goals, 5-year visions, right? Those are macro level things, those are bigger things. So, I'm massively, massively patient on those. Right? Because I realize that the only way I can affect it at a macro level is to have all my energy, all my focus, all my attention driven into the micro level, right? Micro is what's happening in the now, right? So I'm not worried about the next 12 months because I'm extremely concerned, and hyper focused on what's happening in the next 12 hours. If I'm focused on what's happening in the next 12 hours of my life, I don't have to give a shit what's happening in the next 12 months. It doesn't matter to me. Right? So again, and you guys have heard me say this, but the only way you win the year is to win enough months. So when we win enough months is to win enough weeks. And when we win the weeks is to win the day. So it's all about winning the day. Right? So like now, like I'm not thinking, I used to sit and think so much, spend so much time just thinking about the future. Right? And again, I'm not, dude, I got goals just like everybody else. But I don't allow it to take up any of my energy or really any of my focus. And my focus, like I don't even give a shit what's happening tomorrow. I got a lot going on the rest of this week. I got all these appointments going on. Dude, I'm just focused, hyper focused on squeezing as much out of today as I possibly can, and getting as much of the result out of my people, out of myself as I can, within the next 12 hours or whatever. So I've just had that hyper focus, and I'm extremely impatient. This is where I allow my impatience to come out, because my impatience does, right? Like if you interviewed my team now, my team meaning those that work directly for me, they're like, holy shit, in the last couple months, they're like, dude, we don't know what happened to Joshua Smith, but holy shit. Like, and some of them love it, and some of them are freaked out, right? Because I'm just going through like a freaking cleansing, right? I've fired more people in the last 3 months of my life than I've ever fired, right? In that short of a time frame, I should say, right? I mean, it's either like, dude, everybody's on this with me or they're out. Right. And it's allowing me, like Warren Buffett's famous saying, as soon as the tide goes out, you see who's skinny dipping. This laser focus of mine and seeing who can operate at my speed, and who can adopt these same philosophies, I'm able to see who's skinny dipping pretty quick. Right. And then, like I said, then who's stepping up to the plate with me. So get extremely clear on what and why my goals are important to me, and identify what matters most. So this is, again, something just over the past 6 months that I've really gotten laser focused on, which has just created, again, you guys, I mean, it's allowed my energy to be better. It's allowed just me to have more internal peace, dude, which is weird as that sounds. I created so much internal suffering because I wasn't to where I wanted to be, with my big goals. So, I would wake up every day pissed off that I'm not further ahead than I am, that I'm not worth $100 million yet, or that I don't have, XYZ name or following or whatever it may be. I'd create all this internal suffering. I literally operate most of my days as just almost pissed off, which I guess is kind of a good thing, to have some fuel to your fire, right? So I like some of that drive, but I don't want to just be pissed and miserable, right? And then too, it clouded of my understanding of knowing why these things were important to me. So, I've been spending a lot of time just thinking deeply about like, what's my overall life principle? Like what's the life principle I want to operate by? We can all have these goals of buying X house or having a jet or making X amount of money or selling X amount of homes, but what's the life principle? That if I can operate in within this life principle, and if I can feel what this life principle has, that it's a win, regardless of accolades or whatever. So this is what I've come up with me personally. So this is like my personal life mission or vision statement, whatever you want to call it, principle, life principle. I'm not good with coming up with names, but whatever you want to call it. And I have this written out everywhere. It's above my desk at my office, above my desk at my home office. I got it written and taped to my bathroom mirror. It's in the front page of my planner. So I'm seeing this all throughout the day. So in all things and at all times, I want to feel an abundance of all things that matter to me. An abundance of love, an abundance of time, an abundance of energy, an abundance of inspiration, an abundance of talent, and an abundance of money. To accomplish this, I must always be focused on growth and expansion. I must always strive to operate at the best version of myself, right? So for me, that's what winning is. At the biggest level to me, like, dude, if I create that, if I have that, if that's what exists in my now world, this is what I want. And I can sit there and say, when I was coming up with this, I beat myself up because I'm not worth X amount of dollars or whatever it may be. And when I started looking at this, I'm like, dude, all this stuff already shows up and exists in my life, right? So like I said, it just helped me uplift a lot of that internal suffering that was taking place that I was just self-sabotaging myself with. Not saying that I still won't set other big goals, right? But as long as like this is me winning on a daily basis and knowing if I'm winning in a business. Also, though, having this life principle allows me to make decisions for the future this much better. So like if I'm taking on a new business or whatever, does that align with my life principle? So in everything I do, it must be fully congruent with above. Now, it might take a lot of my time to create something new today, right? That I have to, like here, I got an abundance of time, right? So maybe this new project that I got to work on or get knocked out leaves me with a lack of time. But once that's knocked out, right, it allows this to happen. Right. So it's got to be. So when I say that, it's got to be congruent. It's got to be congruent with this in today's state, or it's going to allow me to do this here in the very near future. So I found an extreme importance on having a principle system to make my decisions by. Right? When we talk about these trade-offs, making the right decision, wrong decision, like we got to kind of know like what's our North Star when we're making right decisions or wrong decisions with what this looks like. Like why the hell are we doing all this stuff? You know what I mean? Like we got to get clear on that. So I'm more clear than ever before on what I want, what I'm willing to sacrifice, and what I'm willing to make happen, and what I'm not, right? So as an example, like, I've talked about many times, I used to sacrifice sleep all the time. No longer will I do that, right? Like sleep now has become a huge part of my routine because I know the importance of it and the importance of my long-term health. And I got to be able to think, right? And yeah, I can operate like a zombie and just push through things that don't take brain power on 4 hours of sleep or all-nighters like I used to pull all the time. But dude, I'm not willing to make that sacrifice anymore, right? It's way too important to my energy levels and my ability to think clearly. So I make sleeping 8+ hours. I've over the last, again, about 6 months, I've been trying to identify what's that optimal level of sleep. So if you look at my life principle, it's an abundance of energy, right? So I don't want to feel tired ever. So I've been tracking this, and I found for me, it's 8.5 hours of sleep. So I built, and now for me, from going from never sleeping to try to figure out how to sleep that many hours, it's been a journey. I'll tell you that, right? Getting in the routine, plus, just from my ego standpoint, a lot of different plays. It's been tough to go out there and do, but I make sure I will not get less than 8 hours of sleep a night, right? Anymore. That's like my top priority, or it's become a top priority because it's part of my life principle. So I'll say no to anything that interferes with that. Right. So if it does happen that social gathering, all these people want to go do all this stuff, but then I got to be up early that next morning to go do this, then it's a no. Now, if I can sleep in and get away with getting more sleep and go out there and grind, then maybe, right. But I'm very clear on all of these things. So I know what to say yes to and say no to. So again, all things must lead to your goals, right? So your actions must be congruent with your wants. So often we have all these wants, but our actions are congruent with them. Oh, I want to make X amount of money, but we're not doing the activities that we need to do and putting in the grind and putting in the hustle to make those things become a reality, right? We want to get in great shape, but then we're stuffing our face with a bunch of crap. As Jim Rohn defined it, success is just small decisions compounded over time. Failure is small wrong decisions compounded over time, right? So spend the time reflecting on 2017 and previous years. Never allow yourself to beat yourself up, or allow yourself to feel bad that maybe you didn't hit your goals or that these things happen, right? I mean, these negative things that happen, dude, are blessings. I think so many people don't like to look in that rearview mirror because they're not proud of what happened. No, look in that rearview mirror, man. If you're not proud of it, cool. Identify. These are the blessings that allow us you to grow. Right? Identify what went good, what went bad, then identify a plan to do more of what went good, and a plan to avoid what went bad, right? So the overall 2018 domination game plan for every one of us, have a plan in place, combine that with daily planning and daily reflection, combine that with daily tracking, combine with, of course, you got to put in the work, man. It's not the secret here where we can just think positive thoughts and shit manifests, right? Like the one thing that secret movie or documentary is missing is they don't talk about hard work. So combine that with working your ass off, boom, massive success happens. So like I said, you guys, I'm going to share this slide deck with you so you have it and can use this as you're going through that reflection. Alex says, get the house. No, man, not getting the house, dude. As much as I want to, man, I'm going to be disciplined with it. Rich says, the shitty phase, exactly where I am. I'm glad to hear I'm not alone. Patience is a weakness of mine. It is for all of us, dude. But it's just the reality of the business, man. You just push through it. And you will get there, my friend. Michael says, please create the GSD mode planner. I know I need to, man. Michael says, yeah, the Panda regular planner does suck. Yeah, I was gifted the regular Panda planner, and then I went and got the Panda Pro. I'm digging it, dude, right now. I mean, it definitely is missing some things, that are specific to our industry. But for the most part, as far as a general planner, that's the best one that I've seen. Rick said, just ordered it. Awesome, dude. Let me know how it goes. Love it. All right, you guys. Well, I don't have any other questions in here. So, as always, anything that you need, I'm here to fully support you guys, no matter what it is. I don't care what it is. Anything that you feel I can support you with, I'm here for you. Hopefully you understand that. Hopefully you know that. Never hesitate to reach out to me if there's anything that you guys need. Make sure that you take advantage of this time to reflect and really plan. And don't overlook the small stuff, right? It's those little small things, like I said, that add up, that make big things happen inside our business. So keep kicking ass, you guys. And again, if you need anything, hit me up anytime. Talk to you soon.